Okay, welcome everybody to another class on 10 mistakes. Today we're looking at tenses, and if you would like to buy the whole course, because we do this all the time, I'm going to be doing it at least weekly, looking at 10 more mistakes, you need to come to my website, which is www.skype-lessons.com, and you can buy the course for $9.99, and you get quizzes and videos, and in the future I'll keep making lessons on common mistakes. You get a lifetime membership on my website. Okay, so 10 mistakes on tenses. You will see, well, 11 actually, 11 mistakes on tenses. 12 really, if we count the 2 here. And I hope you can see that we have already covered this, that it's the same type of mistake that comes up again and again and again. So have a look at number 1. Let's call this the reported speech past perfect mistake, because it involves reported speech and the mistake involves not using past perfect. And I want to keep repeating this because I think it's so important. Past perfect is most of the time used in reported speech. So if you want to practice using had done, had been doing, look out for certain verbs that report speech, because there are many of them. Yeah, all of those verbs that we studied when we studied reporting verbs, all of those verbs are very often seen with past perfect, especially when you also have a that clause after them, by the way. Although it doesn't have to be. I mean, this one isn't a that clause, but and neither is this one, but this one is. But I think reporting verbs, you very often report something that happened before you did the speaking, and that's why you often see past perfect. Now, we often shorten our auxiliary verbs, yeah? He said that they had worked. Very often you'll just hear natives say, he said that they'd worked. Yeah, remember that in English we do shorten our auxiliary verbs, which means, well, this is why you might not even hear natives say past perfect sometimes, and it's because we shorten our auxiliary verbs. Same with present perfect. But still, this is a mistake, and I think most, that ought to be a capital letter. I think most natives can hear that the second one is certainly a mistake. He said that Carson didn't do everything that he wanted. No, Carson hadn't done everything that he wanted. Yeah, and so we've got to change didn't do, past simple, to hadn't done. And this is the most common mistake, certainly, with past perfect, where people don't use it but they need to use it. We can call it the reported speech mistake, yeah? And this one can't be shortened because it's hadn't and not had, but had is very often shortened, and you just hear it very quietly as a they'd, instead of they had, yeah? They'd worked together. And I suppose this is why many natives make this mistake as well, you know. Many natives, when they're speaking quickly, will just say worked and not they'd worked. But it's because the auxiliary verb is so quiet and it's kind of disappearing, I suppose, over time, that, natives will sometimes make this mistake too. So you're not alone, you'll be pleased to know. And if you've made this mistake before, don't worry, we all have. I promise, me too. Okay, and I'm forgetting something. In reported speech, you can't use ago, yeah? Ago, a few years ago, always means, if I say 2 years ago, it always means from now, always. And so 2 years ago is 2020, yeah? It's not 1988, and when people are retelling a story, a few years earlier or a few years before, yeah, there's 2 different words we can use instead of ago. And then that means earlier or before than the 2 years earlier or a few years earlier than when he said that. Yeah, that's it. These 2 words are in relation to that verb, whereas ago is always in relation to the present moment. In the same way that yesterday is always in relation to the present moment. It's the day before today, yeah? Tomorrow is always in relation to the present moment. Well, so is ago. And that's why you can't use it in reported speech. You've got to change it to earlier or before. And just to remind you, in reported speech, you have to change a few other words, don't you? You have to change today to that day. You can't say today in reported speech. It would have to change to that day. Tomorrow or yesterday turns to